Where is this demand for quantitative and this sort of lack of trust in the qualitative insight? Where does it come from?
I think there are two places. One is it could come from senior managers who thrive on numbers. So a few years back, I was working for Orange, the telecommunications company in the UK, and I was working as an internal consultant. I was covering for somebody who was on maternity leave for about a year. And while I was there, I was kind of running their human factors team. And while I was there, we were looking at different ways that we could engage the organization in the research that we did. And we did all of the obvious things like, asking people along to usability tests, um, producing highlights videos and sending them out, and all of the kind of the obvious things you'd think about doing. But despite all of this, nobody was actually reading the research reports that we put together. So we thought, well, how could we engage people with the data? So instead, we looked to see how short a report we could make. So instead of a 40 or 50 page report, what would we cut out if we dropped it to 20 pages? And what would we drop out if we cut it to 10 pages? And eventually we thought, well, what would a one-page report look like? So we put together a kind of a dashboard. I mean, and nowadays we're kind of suffering from dashboard overload, but in those days it was relatively novel to have a dashboard summarizing the results of a usability test. And although we had some qualitative comments on that dashboard, predominantly it was about these measures of usability that I've mentioned and showing how Orange's online shop compared with competitor online shops. Now, what happened was that, whereas previously we got very little senior management engagement, suddenly the usability stuff that we were doing was being discussed at board level. How comes we're worse than Vodafone on this particular task? What do we need to do differently? Because once you've got numbers, you can start measuring things against them. And that's one of the benefits of it. And I think that's a good thing about quantitative research because it can influence people. The problem comes when you then only deliver that kind of research